You are able to. All right. Hopefully, you're able to see me. We've had some challenges with the network over the last couple of hours. So I'm happy to be live. It's a pleasure to be speaking to all of you. My name is Dr. Asukwo Mendie Archibong. I am an attorney, and I'm going to try and make this a little bit more less formal and less attorney-like, so that we can all benefit as much as we can. Um, First of all, I want to thank all of you for joining to listen to this conversation about how to obtain a US visa. I'll just give a couple of minutes, maybe one more minute for other stragglers to come on by and join as well. But for those who have joined so far, I'm very grateful. Welcome. If you're in Nigeria, welcome. If you're outside of Nigeria, welcome to you as well. This will be only for half an hour. So don't expect it to go beyond half an hour. And for those who will have questions, I just will not be able to multitask in terms of speaking and in terms of answering the questions immediately. And also for some measure of privacy, I have created a group, a WhatsApp group that you can all join in order to ask your questions. I'm going to go ahead and post that WhatsApp group in a second so that you can all join. You can see me looking away. I'm actually have a split screen, so I'm looking at my second screen to be able to bring you that information. Let's see here. Um, invite. I'm going to invite you guys. If you also look under the announcement, I have that information there as well. Let me go ahead and paste it up here under the comment section um, so that you can all see. Um, there it is. If you want to ask questions, feel free to ask those questions in the comment section. This is actually my very first, believe it or not, my very first uh, Facebook live stream. So excuse me if I'm still going through the steps and process of coming up to speed on it. I've done other live streaming, Facebook live streaming, but not in as official or business-like environment as the one I'm having right now. So I think I've given people enough time to come on board, um, and we should go ahead and get started. Again, this is only for half an hour for those who are interested in obtaining a US visa. Invariably, we'll talk about obtaining a Canadian visa as well. We'll talk about obtaining a British visa as well, French visa, as well as an Australian visa. To whatever extent it might be, if I have the need being if people actually do request for a particular country, I'll go ahead and talk about how to obtain the visa for that country. And know that down the line, I'll also talk about how to get a job, how to get work in the United States. So not today, but we are going to have that conversation as we go on. So thank you for joining. There are many reasons that someone might want to leave the country, Nigeria, or your country, whether South Africa, wherever it might be. There are many reasons you may want to join. One of them might be to go and experience life elsewhere. Another one might be just to go and you know visit and come back. But I look at the model of China and the model of India. They have so many of their citizens in the United States going to school there and working there as well to some extent. And after gaining some experience, they go back to China and go back to India and implement what they have learned in those environments. Rwanda has done about the same thing. We had a lot of people in from the country of Rwanda who went to school in the George School of Law, who actually did come over there to go to school and work for a year or two, and then go back and implement the skill set that they've gathered in the United States back in Rwanda and the transition from French speaking, being a French speaking country, to an English-speaking country, which to some extent, well, largely has served them well. My goal is to see Nigerians visit the United States, visit the United Kingdom, visit France, visit Germany, go to Russia, Moscow, go to Austria, Australia, go to Mexico, Brazil, Spain, and experience good governance there. See how people live life over there. See the kind of expectations and demands that people make on their government. If you go to Spain, I believe you also see how the Spanish people live their life. I had the opportunity to travel. I've had the opportunity to live in different places, and I'm back in Nigeria, and there is no place like home. You actually even acquire new skill set when you travel, like language. I speak Spanish as well. Je puedo hablar español. Si tú visitas Español, puedes hablar español con las personas allá. If you visit Spain, you may be able to speak Spanish with the people there. Je parle français aussi. I speak French and I read it as well to a certain measure. So it's good to be able to travel. Let's say the very first thing that you want to consider when you're visiting, when you want to obtain a US visa is what type of visa do I need? So get your pen ready because today I'm just going to be talking. What type of visa do I need? A visitor's visa or a visiting visa? Most people start off with a visiting visa, meaning you will just be able to visit that country or the United States for a certain period of time. Generally, when you land in the United States, you are given 6 months to stay. If you need to stay beyond 6 months, you have to request for an extension. But while you are outside of the country, how do you get a visiting visa to the United States? There are certain things that will actually help you. One, and the primary thing you want to really think about and to act on is sufficient ties to your home country. Let's say you are from Nigeria and you want to visit the United States. And let's say you are in the age range of between 18 and 22. Will you be able to exhibit or demonstrate sufficient ties with the country of Nigeria? Yes, you may be able, but it will be a little bit more, it will be a little bit difficult. Let's move you now to the age range of 25 to 35. Will you be able to show sufficient ties with Nigeria? You should be able to show sufficient ties with Nigeria. Even if you are just starting life, you should be able to show some, well, let me retract, let me walk that back, some measure of ties to Nigeria. Above the age of 35, you definitely should be able to show ties to Nigeria. So, what are these ties that you have to show to Nigeria in order to get a visa? One, um, things like marriage. Are you married? Do you have a spouse? If you're married, check it. Do you have land? You have landed property and land. If you have that, those two things, land and landed property, you check it. Do you have a job? That's fine. You check that as well. Do you have a high paying job? Now, there's an extra check right there. What type of work is this? The job that you have. Is this a career job? You check that. How long have you been working that? You check that as well. And what is your background in terms of the work that you do? Is this a professional job that you do have? Are you a medical doctor? Are you a lawyer? Are you an engineer? Are you a linguist? Are you a psychiatrist? Are you a teacher? Are you a firefighter? Are you a policeman? Are you a military man? Um, is this a career position? Well, if it is a career position, if it is a professional job background that you have and job that you do have, you have a leg up in terms of showing sufficient times to be able to obtain a visa. Right now, you really can't just walk into any visa. I'm going to talk about this not specific to Nigeria, but just generally. You can't walk into an embassy and apply for a visa. You have to go to the embassy's website to be able to apply for a visa. It's very simple to do so. I will not put up the links here because there are people who are also watching from different parts of the world. And just Google the U.S. Embassy for your country, and it's readily available online for you to be able to see where you apply. I encourage everyone to, if possible, avoid using third parties, agents. Do it yourself because this is something that you can easily do. As long as you know what is required of you, it will be easy for you to be able to do this. Get all the documentations that demonstrate that you have a degree, you have a master's degree, if that's the case, or you have a PhD, if that's the case. Indicate you have landed property and land. Get whatever documents that evidence that. If you're married, get your marital certificate, your marriage certificate in place and ready. And if you have children, which is really good in showing sufficient ties, generally people don't run around and leave their children. Generally, um, have the birth certificate of your children ready and the pictures of your children ready as well. And um, of course, get a letter from your employer that you are gainfully employed in that establishment and any other evidence of your employment. Do get that as well. If you have a bank account, and I believe if you don't have a bank account today, I encourage you to have a bank account. I know there are fees associated with having a bank account, especially in Nigeria, alert fees, email fees, SMS fees, CBN fees, local fees, and I'm just making up some of the fees, but the fees are just killing. But invariably, it will help you in showing sufficient ties to the country of Nigeria. If you do have a high bank account balance, if you have, let for universality, let me use dollars here. If you have $500 in the account, well, that's not very high. If you do have $10,000 in your account, equivalent in your account, that's high. And if you show that this is an operations account and you show evidence of monies coming in and going out from your salary, different streams of income that is consistent over a year, that is really credible and goes a long way to build to add to the building block of um, showing sufficient ties to the federation to the country of Nigeria. So I hope you've gotten all of this. If you haven't, I will leave this video up so you can come back and review it. Without showing sufficient ties to the Federation of Nigeria, it will be incredibly difficult to get a visa. Think about it this way. You are in the town and somebody comes from the village to visit you. And this person has no place to go back to in the village. They don't have a home, they don't have an uncle, they don't have a dad, they don't have a sister, they just have nothing anymore in the village. How would you feel? You'll be a little bit reluctant to let them stay with you, knowing that they may not go back to the village. But if they do have a house in the village, they have a family in the village, they have land in the village, they have ties back to the village, they will go back to the village. And you'll feel a lot at ease to let them stay with you. That is the same thing that obtains with countries. Now, once you have sufficient ties, you have evidence of sufficient ties to the country of Nigeria, go ahead and apply for a visa. Trust me, you will get the visa. I did talk about the age range between 18 and 22 being a little bit more difficult. Naturally, there are things you can do at that age range to be able to show sufficient ties to the country of Nigeria. If you're in school, you're still living with your mom and dad. Some of the people in that age range do have jobs. So you do have jobs. You do have some now. You do have a bank account. You do have a bank account. Whatever it is that you do have, show it as sufficient ties to the country of Nigeria. You may just as well go ahead and obtain a US visa. If you're within that age range and you're still in school you can go ahead and obtain a student visa. Nothing stops you from obtaining a student visa. That's just an easy thing to do. How do you obtain a student visa? Notice now that I've transitioned from visiting visa or visitor's visa, as some people might term it, and I've moved now into a student visa. How do you obtain a student visa? First of all, you have to apply to the schools in the United States. I do have a list of the schools that you can apply to that generally do work with foreign students and to a great extent Nigerian students and African students to be able to attend. Quite a few, about two or three, are in the metro DC area, what we generally call the DNB, the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia area. You apply to to one of the universities there. You can apply to a full 4 year university, or you can apply to a 2 year college and get into it. Either of those universities, once you get in, you'll be issued an I-20. Let's forget the technicalities, but there's a form called an I-20. You'll be issued that, and your admission will be transmitted to your home country. In this instance, if you're in Uganda and that's your home country, fine. If you're in Nigeria, fine. It will be transmitted to the U.S. Embassy in your home country, and the embassy will then know that you have an admission in a certain school, a certain university in the United States. This actually moves you up to about 80 to 90% in terms of being able to obtain your visa. If you also add the ability to maintain yourself while in the United States, this ability to maintain yourself breaks down into you must show or have a sponsor. If you don't have a sponsor, you can show yourself as being self-sponsored. Generally, and it depends on the university, a sponsor or yourself if you're self-sponsored should have a bank account and money, US dollars, in that account. Money in the range of above $27,000, depending on the university. Some require you to have up to $30,000 as with payment for the fees, your tuition, your upkeep, your rent, your food. That amount should be there before they will actually give you an admission letter in the university. And that amount should be there before they will issue you a student visa in your home country. And in this instance, if it is Nigeria, the US Embassy in Nigeria will issue you a student visa. So, what do you need beyond this? Of course, you're going to need to have SAT, standard admissions test, and TOEFL, test of English as a foreign language, before you actually gain admission into the university. Because Nigeria is an English-speaking country, you may actually be able to gain a waiver for that, for TOEFL. There are waivers available. If you don't know how to proceed with obtaining a waiver, feel free to ask, and I'll tell you how to obtain a waiver. You can join the WhatsApp group; it's in the comments section, and proceed in obtaining a waiver. Um, Once you have this admission and once the information has been transmitted to the embassy, you then go ahead and apply to the embassy for a student visa. With this application, you have to also bring along evidence of having been in school, so your high school, your exam scores, your WAEC scores, evidence of your admission into secondary school, finishing secondary school. That's generally it. And then you proceed to apply for a student visa. Um, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them at the point by joining the WhatsApp group. It will be fantastic. Let me just move on here and talk a little bit about other options of a visa that are available to people. What other options are available? You may see me looking to my right a little bit, or to you, my left. But that's because I do have a split screen and I am keeping in terms of the time and what we're doing. We have 7 more minutes. I did talk about having this on for just half an hour so that we are not fatigued. I'll also have another session that will speak to having being able to obtain a visa for um, a work visa and also a fiancé visa. So let me stop here. I know we are coming up to the bottom of the hour, 1:30. Let me stop here. And I'm going to schedule another conversation with you so that we talk about how to obtain a US visa, um, a US fiancé visa, and a US work visa. Down the pipeline, I will also talk about how to obtain a job in the United States. But the whole goal of this is very simple and straightforward. I want what is best for Nigeria. I want Nigerians to be able to go outside of Nigeria, dominate, take control, and then come back to Nigeria and implement what they have learned. This is not strange at all because it has happened before. In the Second World War, a lot of Africans fought on the side of the Allies. The Allies being the French, we liberated the French, otherwise they wouldn't be speaking German today. You better believe that. We fought on the side of the French, the British, the Americans. We fought in Vietnam. Africans have fought in Burma. Africans have fought in Germany, in Russia, and in United Kingdom. And having gone out to all over Europe, we fought in North Africa as well against the Rommel army of Germany. Having gone out to Europe and fought to protect these countries, we learned some things that the Europeans were just as afraid of death and the bullet as we were afraid of death and the bullet. And we also learned that the European countries were independent and were ruling themselves. But we in Africa were colonized and our resources was being pillaged and taken. So upon the return of the people that went out of Africa to go and fight to protect the Europeans, upon their return to Africa in 1945 and 1946 and being demobilized, there arose the freedom fight for the independence of African countries. Within a few years, let's take Ghana for example, within 12 years of their return in 1945, Ghana was independent in 1957. Within 15 years of the return of Nigerians from Europe, Nigeria was independent in 1960. So traveling, visiting other countries, becoming more exposed, seeing how things are done in different places, and coming back to your home country, in this instance to Nigeria, does actually really do help. And I want us to go out, see what is called good governance, see what is called the dividends of democracy, being constant power supply, um, good potable water, pipe-borne water, good roads, good transportation network, good healthcare, good educational system, and how politicians behave, how professionals behave, and how people put demands on their country. Trust me, in sufficient numbers, if we go out and come back, we will definitely bring about a change in Nigeria. So don't run away to another country. Go there, get what is best for Nigeria by acquiring new skill sets, and then come back to Nigeria and implement those new skill sets. Don't forget, I'm going to talk about a fiancé visa. That is a shortcut of being able to leave the country, find a love partner, get married. Either you get married when you go to the United States or you get married in Nigeria, and you'll get a visa. And a work visa as well. Find a job in the United States, and you'll get a visa. Um, in the meantime, I'm grateful for I'm grateful for your attendance. I do see a question Um, if Nigerians travel to another country, we'll come back with another perception of life and be ready for change. That is from all the way from Angola. You can see we have people from different countries watching this. Yes, Ms. Benvinda, buenos dias, buenos tardes. If Nigerians travel out, if Angolans travel out, I know that you, Ms. Benvinda, you've been to Nigeria, you've been to Abuja, you've been to the United States, you've been to different parts of the world, you've been greatly exposed and you've traveled far and you speak multiple languages. And your perception of life changed when you first travel outside of your country of Angola. When Nigerians travel, they will get to see that there is more to life than erratic power supply, um, less than stellar governance. Let me put it bluntly: poor governance and bad road network and non-existent healthcare and poor educational system and so many other things that we need to work on, not just in Nigeria but in the whole of Africa. So use this opportunity. Come along to the WhatsApp group. Ask your questions there for a certain level of privacy. I prefer to have those questions asked in the WhatsApp group. If you can ask them here and it's a general question, sure, I'll answer them. But if it's a more direct and personalized question, I prefer to answer them in the WhatsApp group in a closed environment for your own privacy as well. But I'm grateful to those that joined and thank you so very much. I'm breaking this into half an hour segments just so that people can be able to watch because not a lot of people will have the data to have this streaming for an hour. God bless you all and God bless Nigeria. Bye bye.